What is up, anime producers and perverts? I am just a simple new type, and we are taking it easy today and covering the gag manga, The Men Who Created Gundam. This will follow a fictionalized version of our hero Yasuhiko Tomino, creator of Gundam and known pervert as he creates the timeless classic Mobile Suit Gundam. This manga constantly reminds you that this isn't real, though there are a few nods to your favorite Gundam creators. Let's not waste any time and let's get into this. Some studio in Tokyo. Furuya Toru, voice actor for Amuro Ray, is doing some line readings. He is recording the famous "You hit me twice. My old man didn't even hit me" line. Furuya is conjuring his best Tommy Wiseau impersonation.
I did not hit her. I did not.
Tomino calls cut. This is the 10th take. Ukai Rumiko, voice of Frau Bo, is in the booth with him. He does another take, screaming at the top of his lungs. Furuya thinks he nailed it. Tomino lets out a big sigh, gets up, walks into the booth, and punches Furuya. He says, "You hit me." Tomino hits him again. Furuya does the line. It is completely different from before. Tomino drew out his power that day, and he gave a flawless performance. He also said, "In 50 years, I'm gonna impregnate one of my fans." Got him! They were all just trying to make an anime, not knowing that it would become a cultural phenomenon. It's all because of one man, and that man just got slapped for trying to touch a PA's butt. 1978, 1 year before Gundam premieres. Tokyo Academy Productions is responsible for Space Battleship Yamato. There we find Yasuhiko Yoshikazu, who is getting notoriety for his drawings. He meets with Tomino and pops a bottle of champagne. Sunrise is quite scrappy compared to what he sees here. It is wild to imagine the global corporation Sunrise as a scrappy company. Tomino shows him a proposal for a show he is working on. Yas says he is now above making 30-minute toy commercials. He thinks they are on two different paths. Tomino leaves. It is only later that Yas actually reads the proposal. This is a sci-fi drama disguised as a robot anime. He rushes to the Sunrise offices. There he tells Tomino that he thinks this concept is a bit much. The people aren't going to be able to keep up. He tells Yas that he needs to bring their audience into the future. It isn't for them to decide whether something is ready. Tomino lights a cigarette and says, "The title is called Mobile Suit Gundam, baby." Magic was made that night. A 25-year-old Furuya is heading to the audition when he runs into a drunk. This is Ikeda Shuichi, who will become the voice of Char Aznable. He too is auditioning for Amuro Ray. At this time, Furuya never thought this man would become a good friend and co-worker. Furuya does his audition. Afterwards, Ikeda does his and ends up throwing up. He doesn't even know what he is auditioning for until Furuya gives him the proposal. Ikeda sees the character Char. He returns to the booth and demands to audition for this character. Ikeda instantly sobers up and performs some of Char's lines. They are stunned by his performance. Tomino thinks that they have found their Char Aznable. Sunrise program director Kusakari Momoe runs into Tomino's office to tell him that the sponsors are here for a visit. Kuroba Tsuchido represents generic toy company. Kuroba says that everything looks good, and they like the designs, except for one thing. He doesn't like that the Gundam is all white. In the novel Mobile Suit Gundam and in G-Quux, we see this white Gundam. He wants Tomino to make it more colorful and flashy, but Tomino says that this is a fighter jet, and like fighter jets, they aren't colorful and flashy. They should be putting focus on the drama. For a toy company, drama doesn't sell toys. But Tomino says that it doesn't because they simply haven't been shown drama. The two argue back and forth when Yas comes in with a design for the Gundam with some color. Kuroba likes the design. It still retains the white while adding blues, reds, and yellows. Yas tells Tomino not to die on this hill. Many companies go bankrupt without making some concessions. Tomino finally concedes. Kuroba also tells Tomino that the Xeon grunt units won't sell, so he could do whatever he likes with them. Tomino takes this to heart. He goes to his mechanical designer, Kuniya Okawara, since he said he could do whatever he wants with the grunts. Tomino gives Okawara a sketch for a grunt design. It looks like a proto-Zaku. 3 days later, Okawara sent him a wooden design of the Zaku. This isn't artistic license. Okawara used to create wooden 3D models as he thought this was the quickest way to show the real thing. Tomino made this grunt unit a main unit hidden in plain sight. It was there at the beginning of the show. It was there with the goof. And it was there in the end. Decades later, people are still talking about the Zaku 2. All hell is breaking loose at Sunrise. One poor animator is crashing out. He yells, "Who put so many lines on white base?" Kuniya Okawara comes up behind him and said, "It was me. It was me." Kusakari comes in with new drawings, but Tomino checks out her panties. This happened to be New Year's Eve. It is now 1979 and the premiere is almost here. They continued work until April 7th when Mobile Suit Gundam premiered. They celebrated until the ratings came in. It didn't look good. It's all Battle Fever J's fault. The show is a failure. Meanwhile, anime magazine Animec editor-in-chief is Komaki Masanobu, who seems to be getting off on Anna Green Gables. Weird. He is given the first episode of Gundam. After watching, he decides to make the next issue all about Gundam. They have just finished the Rambaral scene and are moving on to Ryu Jose's scene. Ratings are still terrible. Tomino decides to come up with the villain of the week mech along with the famous G armor of the Gundam. If they sell toys, then the sponsors will forget about the ratings. They're getting desperate. This will also put a strain on the animators. They just have to endure. Han, Keiko, voice of Isolina, finishes recording her lines. She cheers up Ikeda about the ratings. After finishing Isolina's lines, she keeps her Fridays open. She has a feeling she will be needed again. Meanwhile, Gundam has made it to the Jaburo arc, and network television stations are starting to drop the show completely. After tirelessly working, Yas collapses. He is taken to the hospital and is greatly overworked. Tomino isn't a doctor, so he can't help him, but the show must go on, and he has to focus on the next episode. He gets a call from the dreaded executives. They're ready to call it quits on Gundam. Tomino gets really drunk and starts fights in the streets as Gundam's cancellation is inevitable. So if you don't know, Hajime Yatate isn't a person. It is a pseudonym for all the creative staff at Sunrise. However, in this manga, he is a real person and the director of Sunrise. Also, he's a cowboy. He heads to the police to pick up Tomino. Yatate thinks that he is washed up. Tomino is now an old man, zapped of all his energy. They take him back to the Sunrise offices where everyone is still working. He tells them they are cancelled, but they want to continue since Tomino said that this would be life-changing. Tomino meets with Komaki from Animec, who tells them they are selling magazines like crazy, and it is thanks to Gundam. They have so many fan letters wanting to know more about Gundam. Tomino tells the editor to make his next issue about Gundam being cancelled. Tomino is no longer an old man. He has been revived. They're going to let the world know of Gundam. The world learns that Gundam is cancelled. Every TV station gets calls from rabid fans demanding their Gundam back. Tomino gets a call from the president of Big Toy Company. Even though it is cancelled, he wishes to know the story and how it ends. They will let him finish, albeit with less episodes. Adults started buying Gundam toys to prevent the show from going off air. The thing Tomino hated is what he leaned into to help save the show. The toys are now their lifesaver. The final episode of Gundam airs. Ikeda asks Furuya for a drink. He always declines because he wants to keep the rivalry going for recording purposes. Now that it is over, he takes him up on the offer. Han Keiko says that she will see Ikeda again. She indeed returned to voice Lala soon. Sunrise celebrates. Tomino then meets with the evil executives. They are impressed with how things turned around for them. Tomino brings in a new toy sponsor. They meet Kyoda Shido of Bandai's model department. With this, Gundam is approved for rebroadcast. In an interview with a magazine, Tomino says that Gundam is incomplete and totally not worth watching. Tomino's attitude changes suddenly. He tells the reporter of the cool things that was in his novel that could have been in the show. Cusco Al, Sayla meeting with Degwin, and much more. He wants to make a movie that fixes these problems. Kunio Okawada notes that Tomino is like this because he knows how to influence the masses. With this, he is certain to get his compilation movies off the ground. Yas is back to full health and begins drawing again. Everyone is ready for round 2. One magazine prints a sexy Sayla photo. It sells out due to its popularity. Tomino is furious. He calls the magazine in anger, demanding the editor. He says, "How dare you? Sayla's nipples are pink. You dare misrepresent her nipples?" The man has his artistic integrity, I guess. Kusakari is starting to think, maybe Tomino is really dumb. Tomino and Kusakari shows up to the offices of a movie studio without an appointment. He meets with the president who doesn't know of Gundam. He then remembers the toy commercial. The man says that anime is for children. It is the 80s and anime is still treated as a low art. Or maybe this guy just saw into the future and saw that there would be so many man-children like there are today. Got him, my interests. Take that. The president tells Tomino to be more like Toei. Tomino's pride is shattered. And that will do it for this episode. This is a silly manga that holds no weight and is extremely exaggerated, though things like the fans mailing in demanding more Gundam is true. Tomino let go of his pride and compromised with the toy companies. In the end, this ended up saving the show. Next time, Tomino finally gets his movie going. He shows off some concepts for Space Runaway Ideon, and the movie compilations start production. But that will do it for now, new types. Remember, artistic integrity means ensuring the nipples are perfect. Peace.